Digital gold is a goal that many have had for a long time, and now we're seeing this being blended with crypto. And your next speaker has a history of liberty and freedom. His name is Anthem Blanchard, and his middle name is Hayek. Oh yes, that's who it's named after. He is named after Hayek, and Anthem from Ayn Rand's novella, Anthem. His father, James Blanchard, was a leader in freedom and liberty years ago, and now Blanchard is carrying forward, Anthem is carrying forward the message of freedom and liberty and making it happen. I'm anxious to hear what he's got to say. Join me in welcoming Anthem Blanchard.
Thank you very much, Terry. That was great. Thank you so much to Jeff. Thank you so much to Nathan. It's a real honor to be here. It's my first Anarchapulco. This is my favorite non-conference conference ever, or conference ever. So thank you very much for doing this and organizing such an amazing, thoughtful, forward-thinking group of people. So that's awesome. It's a privilege to be here with all of you. So thank you. So just to kind of go, a little bit about me. Yeah, Anthem Hayek Blanchard is my name. Unusual name. Secret's out. I was raised as an anarchist from pretty much day 2 when I was adopted. So it's a real privilege to now be joined by a lot of fellow anarchists and see how quickly anarchy is proliferating. And thank you very much to Jeff Berwick and his team again for making that happen. So this is going to be a lot of fun. We'll get through the slides here pretty quickly. The teaser I'll give you is I'm going to give you at the end of this little run through and little video my 5-point test when I'm looking at any crypto, just real overview, my 5 points. So let's go through. My purpose has been from a commercial standpoint to make gold, which has been the world's anchor of money, which ultimately is violent currency, which is really fiat currency. But really gold even predates violent money because we find gold in artifacts that date back hundreds of thousands of years and little beads. And so what were these used for? Presumably probably some form of medium of exchange. So gold's got some great qualities. It's got low melting point. It means you can change the form of it pretty easily, pretty cheaply. You can bend it a lot. It looks really pretty, easy to wear. Doesn't corrode, so real simple properties that it's just made it really a great medium of exchange for a long time. Unfortunately, gold has been held captive by the fiat currency violent money system. So gold has ultimately been really inflated in terms of its industrial value, maybe by a factor of 10 or so or more, maybe even, because of this fiat currency system. So it's not to denigrate gold, these are just facts, and the beautiful thing is that we now have public blockchains with the advent of Bitcoin blockchain being the first to invent this blockchain and this idea of open marketplaces that are voluntary. So, and they're peaceful marketplaces, and that's really what cryptocurrencies and public blockchains that are permissionless, that are transparent, that are open source, that don't have any patents or copyrights or IP protections, where there is a true utility and there is a true incentive that everyone can participate in openly. So, I think these are just awesome concepts. And our team started with Anthem Vault, which was founded back in 2011, February of 11, as just a digital gold and silver custodian, just a way for people to get out of the fiat system, own gold and silver simply. We always had visions of third-party transferability and really saw Bitcoin pretty early on as a potential way to make this happen. So regulation got in the way, of course, got in the way a lot. Used to navigating through some regulation with past history being in the digital private money space since 2002 and the financial technology space since 2002, and successfully navigating some challenging waters in the centralized digital gold currency space amongst a number of very interesting actors back then, and kind of morphed into interesting actors now. And really just kind of appreciated some of these abilities that when you can make gold more useful, you can make it more valuable, and ultimately you can help free a lot of people by making it more accessible to a lot more people. And we brought these attributes over to Anthem Vault, and we created the first ever fully gold-backed crypto token. It was a full promotion based off of Dash script X11, which was back then called Darkcoin. So July 4th, 2014, so if you Google Reuters, Frank Tang was the journalist, Anthem Vault Independence Coin, INN was the token. So it was like 10 million of these INN tokens, mineable over 12 months. I'm not a developer or programmer, but the team innovated this product, and we made 100,000 of these tokens redeemable for a gram of gold in the Anthem Vault account. And the catch was you had to open up an Anthem Vault account to download the Independence Coin X11 script miner. So we ended up doubling our account size at Anthem Vault in about 3 months, and we realized, let's go full blown, let's make this live. So we developed on Counterparty platform, which is a layer on top of the Bitcoin blockchain. And we're successful in developing a platform. 2015, got a lot of press, Financial Times, Business Insider, NASDAQ covered us that time. And very excited, we had a beta launch out. We're about 3 months in, we were about a month away from going live fully, and US Treasury Department came down, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, and said, generally speaking, that this activity is going to be construed as a new type of activity that is an existing class that's a very high-risk category in our estimation called a money service business activity. So a lot of US exchanges that are in crypto have had to deal with this issue. And so we ended up experiencing some really bad issues. We also own amagimetals.com, so it's the most well-known and oldest crypto precious metal exchange. So really honored to purchase that brand from the founder, Stephen McCaskill. And really we're excited to serve as the community, and then we got our bank account shut down about like 6 months after we tried to migrate to launch this gold token, which we were calling Hayek Gold at the time. And so we ended up having to rethink things. I spent about a year on Wall Street trying to raise capital in 2015, got into about 24 meetings, 80% plus very positive, no second meetings, no callbacks, no responses to emails. These are all warm leads that I had. So this basically, it was too high risk. No one wanted to touch anything, gold, crypto, it was a joke. And come this last 12 months, this is the first time in 25 years of internet financing history that the traditional venture capital, centralized institutional establishment has been eclipsed by token offerings. I mean, so at $4 billion in 2017, give or take, was raised, which was over double the recorded venture capital money. So this is like a massive, massive sea shift. So it's really, very exciting sea shift too. So anyway, so that's what ended up bringing us to Anthem Gold. I think you heard Simon Dixon earlier. So Simon and Bliss, the co-founders of Bank to the Future, were gracious enough to see our passion, see that there was a need for a gold token, and had us on their platform, and we had a successful raise once we spun out all the intellectual property from Anthem Vault into a new company called Anthem Gold. So we did that about a little over a year ago, had a great raise on Bank to the Future, and basically what we came to realize is that from 2014, July, when we launched the first fully gold-backed token, Independence Coin, till roughly March or April of 2017, about a year ago, that there were about 30 some odd companies that were proclaiming to launch gold and blockchain, some kind of asset token, or metal or silver or copper or titanium or lead or zinc, or a mine that does some variation of this flavor, basically. So it gets down to the intrinsic question of how do you differentiate, and then that gets down to the more intrinsic question of how do you trust that the gold or the metal or whatever is in the vault or warehouse or basilica or whatever it is, how do you know it's real? And this is now dealing with a multi-millennia problem. And really the way that our team has been able to solve this problem is by using public blockchain software solutions that are functional, fortunately functional, and we're so grateful for all the innovators and thought leaders and trailblazers out there that have enabled our software suite to function. So we ended up realizing that we needed to create some kind of proof of custody, proof of authenticity supply chain software that was public blockchain that could authenticate as a third party that the metal was real, and at any time on demand could authenticate that the metal is real and authentic. So the idea of Hercules was born. And so actually our Chief Strategy Officer, Michael Nelson, and I, we were brainstorming it about a year ago, and kind of further elaborated there, and really just kind of came up with this concept of using public blockchain software, kind of like a library index system, to index auditable files, basically. So taking a picture, say, of like a gold kilogram bar, which we're using to back our gold token, and take 6 pictures of it, take a spectrometer picture, take that data file, basically, that shows all that information, and then put all that information on public blockchain. So we chose storage, STORJ, as our first choice for version 1. And so that's very exciting. Andrew Yashkuk was the former head of hardware development at Storage, and he's on our advisory board, and he's now the head of product development at Factom. And so Factom is the solution that Hercules uses to authenticate that these files are all real. So how do you know that the files are real? Well, you can prove that they're real by taking duplicate files, holding them locally, like Amazon, or your favorite, database, and you can prove that these files are mirrored exactly the same, and then you can have like a notary public, but instead of going to some notary public person that's certified by some, forced marketplace executive vassal, basically what you can do instead is use public blockchain software to use the same technology that BitTorrent uses, like data sharding, to just take little bits of your information and little bits of Bitcoin blockchain and be able to, or Bitcoin that runs on blockchain, that to be able to tie together in a more cost-effective manner. And so, that is basically kind of in a nutshell, kind of what we're doing. So just to kind of, go through the concepts here, basically the key is data immutability. So, that is really the key, is that because, Bitcoin created synthetic trust. So before Bitcoin, mainly men, but some women, but mainly men, were the custodians of trust. And unfortunately, men have been horrible custodians of trust at best, and violent custodians of trust at worst. And ultimately, blockchains provide us with the opportunity to have machines be the custodians of trust, which is very exciting, because unlike what, propaganda, institutional, centralized, Terminator, Skynet visions might like us to believe, the reality is that human beings still form the consensuses of trust. And the consensuses of trust are locked in by a positive feedback loop instead of the negative feedback loop that exists in the violence, fear-based, forced marketplace system that we have today. So forced marketplaces, again, are governments. So, forced marketplace executives are government executives. Forced marketplace vassals are ultimately any organization that gets its entitlement from the forced marketplace. So, whereas blockchains are open marketplaces, they're voluntary. So anyone that wants to participate in any of these open marketplaces can. If they don't want to participate, all you have to do is just exchange your token, right? Because ultimately, these tokens are software access keys. And it sounds like a really foreign thing, except we've been dealing all with software access keys for 20 years, because that old cardboard box where Microsoft Windows used to come in and Microsoft Office used to come in, that 16-digit alphanumeric code, that was a software access key that gave you access to that Microsoft software. And that you could then sell. It was fungible. You could sell the software on eBay if you wanted to, and you couldn't splice it. It wasn't divisible like a software access key for a public blockchain is with a token, but it's the same concept. It's a software access key. So we're partnered with Edge, who's is here, and so we're really excited. Paul Pui, their founder, CEO, has been a friend for a while. So Airbits is the genesis of Edge. So Airbits is an awesome wallet, and Edge is making Airbits an awesomer wallet by integrating all your favorite tokens. So irrespective of whatever you like or don't like, then you can customize it as such. So our team is super excited. So we have our development team's actually in Denver right now at ETH Denver, or some of them are at least. And so, but yeah, we're also here, and love to field any questions that anyone has. If you want to check it out, go to anthemgold.com and you can check it out. So one of the cool things that Michael, our CSO, and Logan Galema, our CTO, kind of helped brainstorm is this idea of gamifying the audit function. So I was on the board of a Russell 2000, what grew to Russell 2000 company for 4 years, a specialty pharma company that an old friend of mine asked me to be on the board of as a non-executive member, and he wanted me to be on the audit committee of a 2-person audit committee, which should scare the hell out of anybody, except I've known this person my whole life, and I know that he wouldn't put me in a precarious situation. But I mean, your expectations when you're in that position is to read a 200 or 300 page quarterly report or annual report, sometimes in like less than 24-hour periods. And that's a reality of the governance structures today of how publicly traded companies work. And when you game theory it out, when you're in a zero interest rate environment, it really is that you have to ultimately bend the rules of general accepted accounting principles to make sure you can keep in those borders, but just on the border, or else your competition is going to take you out. So I think that unfortunately, or really super fortunately for all of us and the future of all of our generations, is that we're transitioning from financialization to value creation and purpose-driven life and purpose-driven creation instead of destruction. So Hercules, so herc.one is the website. If you want to sign up for the email, it's blank right now. It's in development. We're expecting to get to product launch here in the next few months. So we're very excited about that. The team is powering away. I'm very impressed. The solutions, again, as mentioned, Factum, we're using as our blockchain notary public that proves that these data files, these gold pictures and the spectrometer pictures and CSV data files are all the same. We use IPFS as the data format that we store the information in locally and then on storage as well. So as our decentralized, like Amazon, so storage is cool. So storage, if any of y'all want to check it out, StorageCoin, you can use your database and like BitTorrent, or instead of actually like just having it out there, you get paid these storage tokens. So it's pretty cool. So this kind of just goes in, basic idea. So what we've done, which is really, really novel, is gamify the audit function. And we firewalled the audit function. So one of the issues you have in auditing is collusion between the executives and the auditors, and ultimately the board and the stakeholders, because ultimately, for pretty much almost any major Fortune 100 company, there's such a diluted share interest that no one really owns enough to care enough. So pretty much what you have is all the executives colluding and with trying to keep the ship as stable as looking as possible, and getting really as much out for themselves as possible ultimately. And it really is just a horrific governance structure. It just barely works. It's a miracle that the lights are on, that we're able to eat every day, that we have clothes, that the system even functions honestly at this point. So it's so medieval, or even beyond. So 7,000-year-old system that we're still living in. So we came up with this idea. Really, this was Michael's concept of this. If you multiply 365, 24, and 7, you get to 8,760. So this concept of having total surveillance by using sensors and public blockchain software and combining them together, and letting people ultimately have their own creations in life. So for people that can't afford SAP software or Oracle software or JDA software or Manhattan Associates supply chain software suites, or the dozens of others out there, Hercules is gonna, we think ultimately could be a way, but we don't know yet, honestly. So it's really, too early to tell. We know that for gold, that it can prove the custody and authenticity of gold specifically, and ultimately, that is something that we do know. So again, some little diagrams. And for those of you that are curious, check out anthemgold.com. We have a test wallet on there you can check out. So this kind of goes into the gamification. So the way that we solve this collusion problem in auditing is through this human intuition picture recognition, so Hyper. So what Hyper does is Hyper has people play games, just like you might recognize kind of something maybe a little similar to this, like I Am Not a Robot on Google maybe, when you're in like a different country like Mexico, or maybe you're a different country like the United States or wherever your different country is, and that it says, are you a human? And you have to click these little boxes where the cars, right, we've all probably done it. And so now you don't get incentivized to do this. So in Hercules, you do get incentivized, and what you're actually doing is you're performing a third-party audit. So it's very much similar if you're playing a slot machine at a casino. What you're really playing is a number random generator that's generated by the slot machine manufacturer. But what you're seeing is a bunch of pretty images and sounds. And of course, that's what you're interfacing with. So now through gamification and being able to tie pixels to actions, and using swarms, so like having dozens of people, for example, that are affirming actions that they have no idea. They could care less about gold, they could care less about auditing, but they like Candy Crush kind of video games. So we can ultimately enable those people to get paid tokens to play games because they're auditing, and the audit function then is perfect because there's no collusion. So we have a really great advisory board. So Joby Weeks is here, and really honored to have him. He was our very first investor in our seed round for Anthem Gold. Bill Barhide of Abra. Just raised like $16 million from Foxconn. They make the iPhones for Apple. Andrew Yashkuk, who I mentioned. Michael Turpin, who's a big PR person in the space. Dominic Zenas, who actually was on the executive team for the first ever ICO, quote unquote, and Mastercoin, and now he's a co-founder of Wings. And then Steve Dack, who's a really well-known programmer who co-founded Jack's Wallet, so it's a crypto kit. So we're really honored to have our team on board. We have a great legacy. I think Terry alluded to it. So my dad and mom helped to push for the legalization of gold ownership. And so really it's kind of a continuation of this idea of Hayek's and denationalization of money. I kind of like to think of it as denationalization of currency, because I think of money as violent currency. And ultimately I think of blockchains and cryptocurrencies or crypto tokens as peaceful currencies. So that's the deck. We have a little short video here, I think, in theory. I don't know if that's going to go. I was hoping to have a little time for questions, but I think we'll just go into the video, yeah. But please see me afterward. I'm the chief talking officer as well as the co-founder, so I'll talk your ear off.
The rise of blockchain technology is changing the world, fundamentally transforming how people do business. The precious metal vaulting industry is no exception, and this is where Anthem Gold comes in. Anthem Gold offers an exciting way for exchanging and electronically buying gold using blockchain technology. This new, cost-effective, convenient, and highly secure way to access physical gold will allow gold, which is one of the most resilient stores of value, to recirculate again with ease and liquidity, increasing its utility. Anthem Gold is making this dream a reality. By now, you might be wondering, how did we get here? The history of Anthem Gold can be traced back to the background of co-founder and CEO Anthem Blanchard. A veteran in the metal vaulting business, Anthem was raised by legendary gold bug and precious metals pioneer James U. Blanchard III, who helped restore the right of Americans to own gold. Hailed as a champion of liberty in the 1970s, Jim Blanchard gained his famous reputation by doing creative and attention-grabbing activities, such as hiring a biplane to tow a legalized gold banner over President Nixon's 1973 inauguration. The Blanchard name is steeped in history, entrenched in efforts to bring gold ownership back into the hands of the public, and stands for trust, integrity, and security in the precious metals business. During his lifetime, Jim Blanchard championed the inherent value of precious metals by creating the National Committee to Legalize Gold, and was a chairman of the National Committee for Monetary Reform. He was the founder of the world's largest rare coin and bullion company at the time, Blanchard & Company, as well as the Blanchard Group of Funds and Jefferson Coin and Bullion. Jim also co-founded Louis Rukeyser's Wall Street newsletter. In addition, he published his very well-known gold newsletter, along with several wealth-related books, including his popular autobiography titled Confessions of a Gold Bug. Among his many great achievements was the creation of the New Orleans Conference, which has been running for more than 4 decades and has included notable speakers such as Ron Paul, Dr. Henry Kissinger, William Buckley, Walter Williams, Colin Powell, Margaret Thatcher, former President Gerald Ford, and Nobel Prize-winning economists Milton Friedman and Friedrich Hayek. Even novelist Ayn Rand's last public appearance was at a Blanchard conference. Anthem's father was a visionary who would have been extremely proud of seeing his son bring to life the reality of a gold-backed cryptocurrency. James Blanchard III left a legacy set to endure for generations. The legacy has seen its continuation through Anthem Blanchard, who is named after Ayn Rand's novel, and the economist and philosopher Friedrich Hayek. The younger Blanchard has taken the fundamental principles of his father and applied them to new and exciting technology. He continues to be an innovator and advocate for efficient and liquid ways to buy, own, and sell physical gold. Anthem is also CEO, president, and a board director of the precious metals dealer Anthem Vault Incorporated, which also fully owns the successful precious metals dealer Amagi Metals. His professional history includes serving as the first director of strategic development and marketing for goldmoney.com, as well as being a board member and audit and compensation committee member of the NASDAQ-traded Pernix Therapeutics. He holds a BBA in finance and accounting from Emory University. Using his reputation and wealth of expertise, Anthem Blanchard's leadership with Anthem Gold will help revolutionize the world.
Gold-based cryptocurrency be a cryptocurrency? Can you explain that?
Yeah, so an asset token is a token, a cryptographic token that is backed by something. And so in this case, the something is physical gold. So the mechanism is a little similar to an exchange-traded fund, like the GLD ticker in the US is the largest gold derivative ETF. And so it is similar where you price basically based on, and you buy more based on more demand, you sell based on less demand and people selling. So it's already things that have been done in a different context. So now we're just moving the vehicle over to crypto instead of an exchange-traded fund, for example. So very simple mechanism there, and the way that this Anthem, this gold token, gets verified is through this Hercules token, and that's how it gets created. And the cool thing is they're all backed by these kilogram bars of gold. So 1,000 Anthem tokens you can redeem for 1 kilogram bar of gold, and you can even use these tokens. They will be usable at amagimetals.com, which has historically been the largest Bitcoin to precious metal retailer. So tens of millions of dollars of exchanges in Bitcoin and precious metals. So that's something that's really exciting, and instant redeemability and instant usability, and we're continuing to converse with different exchanges and wallets, and it's a really exciting time. So really appreciate it. So anyway, yeah, thank you all very much. I'm going to go over the 5 points really quickly so that I look at. So what's the purpose of the blockchain? What's the utility of the blockchain? Does the token economics have scarcity or certainty? Does the utility, and as the price go up, does the utility get more use as the price goes up in that token? And is the total available market big enough that it touches, that blockchain has the potential to touch every human being ultimately, and then it can use other public blockchain software in the places that it needs historical data to be kept in a way that can be provable or immutable, as they say. So anyway, thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you again, Terry.